Good morning, hello, and welcome to our 2023 Armistice Commemoration. This is the first time that we've done this in person since the COVID pandemic, and I'm so happy that we got so many veterans to come here, including a lot of our very close friends. My name is Jonathan, and I'm the Director of Policy for the Korea Society. Today, we honor our veterans. We recall that their valor and sacrifice. We consider the notion that they are more distinguished for the ideas that they embodied than for the bullets that they fired. In the crucible of war, Americans and Koreans forged a bond that has not merely persevered, but has truly flourished. Today's program is a collaboration between the Korea Society and the Republic of Korea Consulate in New York City. For events like this, we operate like a mini alliance, accomplishing a lot more together than we could separately. We look forward to hearing from Consul General Kim Wi-won, and I'm very thankful for Consul Sung Ho Huh for all his help for today. I'm also grateful for the fantastic teammates that I have at the Korea Society, including our president Tom Byrne, who you'll hear from shortly, Chelsea, Peter, and many others, including our interns, Zena and Jiwon. It bears mention that the Society was founded by a Korean War veteran, something I know Tom will discuss in his remarks, General James Van Fleet. During the course of today's program, we will meet and honor our veterans. I'm excited to hear from my good friend, Sal Scarlato. He's the Korean War Veteran Area Commander. Through the years, he has been an enthusiastic supporter, a kind friend, and a great role model, even giving me fatherly advice now that I've got a little one on the way. That's my wife and her family over there. In addition, we will hear from the next generation of military leaders, represented today quite ably by Colonel Sean Morrow. Thank you so much for joining us. And Major Jessica Taylor. So happy to have you. They have carried the torch passed down by our Korean War veterans by upholding the mission to defend South Korea, and I can't wait to hear their thoughts. With that, I'd like to introduce our president, Mr. Tom Byrne, to come to the podium. Please help me to welcome him to the podium.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and supporters, veterans, and friends. Welcome to the Korea Society's 2023 Armistice Day commemoration. This ceremony offers an opportunity to express gratitude for those who served in the Korean War and the sacrifices that their families made, that they made, and also their families made who lost loved ones to defend democracy and the people of South Korea. So it's a pleasure to gather here today with a contingent of New York and New Jersey American and Korean American veterans of the Korean War. Thank you for your service. I'd like to begin by offering thanks to those who contributed to making today's event possible. Thank you to the Korean Consulate General in New York, and especially to Consul General Wi-won Kim, who we will hear from in a bit. And a sincere thank you to Korean War Veterans Regional Area Commander Salvatore Scarlato, who served in the Marine Corps and has remained a strong and active advocate of the ROK-US Alliance. Thanks, Sal. And I'd also like to thank Colonel Sean Morrow and Major Jessica Taylor. So Sean there? Okay, hi Sean. For their service, which exemplifies the continued commitment and collaboration between the U.S. and Korea. We are very grateful that you can join us, and we look forward to hearing from you. And I would also like to give a shout out to the staff of the Korea Society, whose resourceful efforts pulled together today's event, and they were led by Jonathan Corrado and Chelsea Alexander. So Jonathan's here and Chelsea's standing in the back. This year's commemoration is special for many reasons. After 3 years, we are finally able to hold this ceremony in person at the Korean War Veterans Memorial in historic Battery Park, facing New York Harbor and the Statue of Liberty. This is the Korea Society's 7th Armistice Day commemoration, an occasion that we at the Korea Society are proud to observe. The Korean War was very costly in terms of human lives, including South Korean, United States, and 17 total nations who sent combat forces under the UN command. Nearly 5 million people perished. More than half of those who died were casualties. Those casualties were civilians. Today's ceremony marks the 70th anniversary of the signing of the Armistice Agreement, so it's a special year. It was the longest negotiated armistice in modern history. At 10 a.m. on this day in 1953, after 158 meetings spread over 2 years and 17 days, military authorities from the U.S., China, and North Korea signed the armistice as a provisional step towards a formal political peace treaty, which has yet to be agreed. It ended hostilities, but did not solve the tragedy of the division of Korea. Standing behind me is one of the first Korean War memorials erected in the United States. Decorated Korean War veteran Miguel Bach advocated for the creation of this memorial. His efforts led to the formation of the New York City Korean War Veterans Memorial Commission in 1987. The commission raised the funds and built the monument that commemorates the fallen heroes of the Korean War. The Korean War was a crucible, a severe trial that created something new, in which the tragedy and sacrifice were transformed into a strong bond between the two peoples of the United States and Korea. Only months after the armistice was agreed, the U.S. and ROK governments signed the Mutual Defense Treaty, with subsequent ratification by the U.S. Congress in 1954. When I reflect on the events of 1953 and those that led up to the Korean War and those that followed, I think even more than Korea's post-war economic miracle on the Han. After all, Korea in the 1970s had Germany's and Japan's historical example to follow. The alliance relationship is the more miraculous miracle on the Han. Recall the words engraved in the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country that they never knew and a people they never met. From an unpromising and uncharted history before the Korean War, the people of Korea and the U.S. have forged in the past 7 decades an exceptionally strong, resilient relationship. Today, the relationship is more than a military alliance. It is a comprehensive strategic partnership which serves as a linchpin for security and stability in the Indo-Pacific. Moreover, the relationship has matured in extraordinary ways, as is seen in the exciting and flourishing cultural exchanges and burgeoning trade and investment ties that are contributing to the well-being and prosperity of both peoples. That, to me, is the real miracle on the Han. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Tom. I'd next like to welcome Consul General Yi-Hwan Kim.
Good afternoon, everyone. Normally my speech is very short, but today is very special. I prepared my speech a little bit longer, but considering this kind of the weather and temperature, I'll try to do my best. President Tom Byrne, the President Scalato, and Park Geun-sil, Korean Veterans Association, and the Korean War veterans, ladies and gentlemen. This year we marked a special milestone for Korea and the United States, the 70th year of the armistice signing. Of the 1.96 million United Nations troops in the Korean War, the United States sent 1.79 million soldiers. 7 years ago, when the guns finally felt silent, Korea was left in ashes and poverty. Now, 7 years later, South Korea and North Korea have become completely different countries. The gap in per capita incomes has widened 28 times, and North Korea's trade volume is just 0.1% of South Korea's. With the help from the United States, from security to the economy, the Republic of Korea, ROK, rose from the ashes and create the miracle on the Han River. However, we must not forget that peace on the Korean Peninsula has been incomplete since the Armistice Agreement 7 years ago. In the line of duty, 4,360 soldiers, including 92 American soldiers, died, have paid the ultimate price defending against North Korean provocation and protecting the armistice line. We remember U.S. Navy Commander Robert Bellinger and his ROK Marine counterpartner, Lieutenant Colonel Kim Ak-chol. On November 20, 1974, a North Korean booby trap took their lives and injured 6 soldiers as they investigate the terrible North Korean tunnel to attack South Korea. Like them, South Korean and American soldiers protect peace and prosperity in the Republic of Korea as they guard the DMZ, 155 miles line of peace. Nonetheless, we see North Korea threaten this region more and more with nuclear weapons and sway South Korea through ideological, communist propaganda, manipulation. The strong ROK-US alliance makes the unyielding stronghold that the North Korean Communist Party can never break through. In closing, the prosperity Korea achieves today owes much to the strong ROK-US alliance, our fortress barrier. Once again, thank you to the Korean War veterans who sacrificed for the freedom and the prosperity of the Republic of Korea. You'll never be forgotten. Thank you. God bless America. God bless Korea. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Consul General Kim. It's now my pleasure to welcome my good friend and Korean War Veterans Area Commander, Mr. Salvatore Scarlato.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good afternoon, everyone.
Got it.
Cannot hear you. Now I hear you. You know, an event like this takes a lot of personnel, a lot of coordination. So myself, my colleagues from Jersey, my co-colleague John Ha, and my Korean War veterans from Flushing, we want to thank you guys from the Korean Society very much, and the Consul General for being here. Just to get off the track a little bit, the United States of America has been involved in 12 different wars, major wars. 4 of them were conflicts between the United States within. But the point I'm bringing out is that all the countries that we helped and survived turned their backs on us. The only country is Korea. The Republic of Korea is the only country that still respects and honors the Korean War vets. When you have presidents of countries bowing to you and say, thank you for saving my country, that's a great honor. But the ceasefire started in 1951. No one could get together. The troops in the front lines prayed so hard. So when the date came, we have 3 10s. It took 10 minutes to sign the document. It took 10 minutes to 10 a.m. to sign and 10 p.m. to ceasefire. When that ceasefire stopped, many men and women were so pleased that the war was over. Now, myself, I was here in the States. I was in a hospital in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, recovering from the wounds that I received. And 2 corpsmen came into the ward. One corpsman had a big jug of 190 alcohol. The other corpsman had another jug full of orange juice. What is that called today? screwdriver and a loaf of bread. So they took this loaf of bread and the orange juice and the 190 and they poured it together. Now they only gave me a little sip about this much. I drank it like a dummy because I just had medication from my nurse and I was sick for 2 days. I threw up my guts. They had to pump my stomach. And I says, well, thank God the war is over anyway. But last year, well, anyway, let me step a little further back. A few years ago, President Trump made a proposal. I received a letter, and a lot of officials received a letter, that today, July 27th, is Korean War Veterans Day. And that's official. If you look at our calendars now, you'll see Korean War Vet July 27th is posted. Just like Iwo Jima, Okinawa, and so forth and so on. Now last year, they unveiled the monument because they put names on the wall. So they picked July 27th instead of July 25th. There's 34,669 Americans and 7,100 Kashtusis. And I happened to be there, one of the honored guests. There was over 200,000 in the field and about 3,000 at the dinner. I brought a book here to give to Tom because his uncle was killed in the Korean War, and his name should be in that book. But as a Korean War veteran, and the legacy between the Korean War vets and the Korean government is great, and it gets greater and greater every year. Unfortunately, the Korean War vets get less and less every year. We're dying approximately 20 a day. So days like this, and because of Tom and where is he? I lost my train of thought. And Jonathan, to keep our legacy going, we want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So my last thoughts is, God bless America. God bless the Republic of Korea. God bless everyone in this room, in this area. And please, God bless that young lady there that's going to have a beautiful baby. And remember, freedom is not free. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Great job. Great job. All right, moving the microphone up because our next speaker is a little bit tall. Please help me to welcome a gentleman who has really a fantastically interesting experience and has done some wonderful service in Korea, following in the good footsteps of our veterans here today. That's Colonel Sean Morrow.
Mr. Byrne, Consul General Kim, Mr. Scarlato, members of the Korea Society, most importantly, fellow veterans, thank you for having me here today to commemorate this momentous occasion. Today, we don't really honor a document, the Armistice Agreement, but rather the men and women who first earned that armistice, and subsequently the generations of U.S. and Korean soldiers who have protected and enforced the peace that that armistice brought. My family, my wife Megan and my 3 boys, had the privilege to live and serve in Korea from 2018 until 2020. It was a time of great political uncertainty, and we were apprehensive at first as our leaders talked about a potential for nuclear war. But our apprehension quickly washed away as we moved to Seoul and I headed north, way north, to Panmunjom. There, I was proud to carry on the legacy of the combined U.S. and ROK Army Battalion in the Joint Security Area, and I learned a few things. First, I learned that most American soldiers love all things Korea. We love the culture, we love the food, but mostly we love the people of the Republic of Korea, and the proud history that they carry. We learned that the alliance is not rooted simply in a document, but it's rooted in relationships, forged over 3/4 of a century, from the youngest privates and officers who fought that battle to the highest strategic leaders who recently signed the Washington Declaration. We learned that this armistice is all of us. There is no armistice without brothers and sisters on the front lines, but also in diplomatic circles and in private enterprise. We also learned that it's not just a love affair between the United States and the Republic of Korea, not just the two of us, but 22 nations that answered the call from a resolution that actually started just a few miles from here, not in Manhattan, but in Lake Success, New York, just across the bridge, in temporary UN headquarters, where the UN called on the world to come to the assistance of Korea, and 22 nations answered that call. I had the unique experience to encounter more North Koreans than most Americans will ever meet. And while our initial engagements were icy, over time I saw in them a desire and a hope to have what we have in the Republic of Korea, in the United States, and in the world. I learned that we don't hate the people of North Korea. We only hate the system that holds them back from becoming everything the Republic of Korea is. But then there's something else that I learned, and the most valuable lesson that I took away. And it's that our history books tell us the Korean War ended in a stalemate, a ceasefire still in effect today, but none of us see it that way. You see, there is no armistice without these soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who fought tyranny under conditions many of us cannot imagine. Many of them are with us here today. Gentlemen, you not only fought North Korea, but you fought China and a little bit of Russia for good measure. To you veterans here today, this armistice is a tribute to you, your families, and your battle buddies who never made it home. It's a tribute to your victory not only over North Korea, but over communism. And yes, I said victory. You beat them back from Busan and put their backs against the wall on the Chinese border. You restored that post-World War border at the DMZ after it was initially lost in 1950. But by doing so, showed Russia, China, and the world that the promise of democracy would prevail, and the United States of America would stand with the rock to guarantee that promise. You shot the first salvo of the Cold War and sent a clear message to the world that we are ready and we will never back down. You set the conditions for the United States to win the Cold War some 40 years later. It was you who answered that call, and we look across the Pacific Ocean to see the Republic of Korea strong and influential as the 12th largest economy in the world. Yeah, the battlefield saw a tactical and an operational ceasefire, but you men in these chairs and your families, you had a strategic victory, and it shows that one nation has failed and another has flourished. This armistice agreement showed the world the strength and character of the United States and our alliances, and helped the Republic of Korea flourish in all her strength and glory. And for this, your sacrifice will never, ever be forgotten. 같이 갑시다.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much, Colonel Sean Morrow. It's now my pleasure to welcome a good friend of mine in the Korea Society, Major Jessica Taylor.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a true honor and a privilege to be able to address you all this very special 70th anniversary of the Korean War Armistice. I am grateful to the Korean Society not only for extending me this invitation, but also all the work the Society does to strengthen the alliance. But most importantly, I extend my utmost heartfelt appreciation to our Korean War veterans. To you, I'm here to deliver a promise. As a proud descendant of a Korean War veteran, and as an alum of United Nations Command, Combined Forces Command, and U.S. Forces Korea, I am here to promise you that because of the path you paved, the alliance stands on strong footing. While the alliance between the South Korea and the United States was cemented by our governments, it has endured because of its people. Standing on the shoulders of the Korean War veterans, Koreans and Americans 70 years on from the armistice continue to serve the interests of the alliance and always stand ready to defend South Korea. Koreans and American military members and civil servants continue to stand side by side as brothers and sisters in arms to defend those in harm's way. For me, General Abrams' words during my time in Korea continue to resonate as he continually called upon us to never forget our solemn oath to the people of South Korea. However, our alliance is so much more than a defense alliance. During our service in the commands that support the alliance, we established lifelong bonds and chosen families. So although our tours may come to an end, familial ties continue to endure and enrich us. Simply, our lives are forever changed for the better because of our service to the alliance. And because of that, even when our tours may end, many of us continue to serve the alliance in various capacities, whether it be like Colonel Morrow and I, pursuing doctorates that aim to analyze the trajectory of the alliance in an effort to strengthen the alliance for its future, or our newfound Korean appas and amas checking on us thousands of miles away, making sure we are eating, but also in my case, just asking if I've met my future husband yet, and to much vain. We are all in service of the alliance. It's no mistake that despite any ebbs and flows in the government's alliance over the years, that Koreans and Americans continue to support the alliance. For while the Korean War veterans memorials may speak of U.S. soldiers answering the call to defend a country they never knew and people that they never met, today Koreans and Americans are family. So thus they close by calling for those of us that continue to carry the torch of the alliance from our veterans, for us not to take our alliance, our sacred oath, for granted. It's incumbent upon us to ensure that the alliance endures and that it remains focused. For Korea is on the front lines of the world's greatest evolving threats that continue to become more lethal by the day. And remember, we are no longer defending strangers, we are defending loved ones. Thus, let's hold each other to account by ensuring our governments enact policies that strengthen the alliance and ensure its endurance. Let us not forsake alliance equities, and instead, let's continue to grow as a family to ensure we remain ready to again answer the call if deterrence should fail. Thank you again to our veterans, and may God continue to bless you and keep you, and may God continue to bless the South Korea and the people of the United States.
Thank you so much, Jessica. We are really fortunate to be located pretty close to the West Point Military Academy and to be able to work with them, with Colonel Sean Morrow, with Sergeant First Class Alan Frink, who's helped to arrange today's color guard, the West Point Cadet Color Guard, who you see coming from the rear, and also to welcome our wonderful bugler, Sergeant First Class Jeremy Wisner, who has been with us a number of years, and this is our first time since COVID, so we're so delighted to welcome you back, Jeremy. So if you are able to rise, I ask you to please rise. If you can't, be comfortable. So with that, I welcome the West Point Cadet Color Guard.
Cars turn, march. Left, 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 left. Group, halt. Two. Present, march. forward, march. Left, 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 left.